Should we go ahead, Karen? Well, thank you everybody for coming. Karen Duhive is here from Bethany Seminary, and y'all know me probably by now, Julie Dishman from ESR. And thank you, Kristen. She's under the ESR events host sign. She is the one that puts this together for us. Thank you very much, Kristen. And today we have Karla Fribley, Stephanie Wilson, and Amy Bryant, and they're from the Earlham College campus in the libraries there. And they will be talking to you today about library services and also Moodle services. We will be recording this so that you can watch it again. Karen, is there anything you want to say before we get started, or Kristen?
No, if you have any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or use the chat. We will keep an eye on that and let our hosts know if you have anything that you have questions about. But you will find that Moodle and the library are two crucial resources during your time at seminary, and Karla is great. She is the Joint Seminary's librarian and is often willing to help you and will tell you just how she can be of assistance to you during the session. So thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, welcome everyone. It's so nice to see names and faces. This is such a fun time of year whenever there's an entering group of folks. So glad to have you joining us at Bethany and ESR. And I'm joined, this will get a little mushy because you can associate Karla with all of your library related questions, but then I'm a team of many when it comes to Moodle questions. So Amy and Stephanie, my colleagues, will be here and they'll be wrangling the Moodle part of things, even though I'm also one of the people that helps with those questions. So you have a team of heroes here today. Before we get too far into showing things, it would actually be really helpful for me, and I imagine Amy and Stephanie, just to hear a little bit from you all. But actually, first, I guess I'll let Amy and Stephanie introduce themselves. Just anything that you'd like to say hello.
Hi, my name's Amy Bryant, and I'm the library director. And like Karla said, we're here to help with Moodle and other instructional technology issues that might come up. And that's why we all wanted to join the call today. So if you see a response, sometimes it might be from Karla, sometimes it might be from Stephanie, sometimes it might be from Amy. But we will try to help you however we can.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Wilson, and I help chiefly with Moodle stuff. So I help instructors and students with those courses, and sometimes it's a how to build thing, and sometimes it's this is broken, can you show me how to make it work? I don't do the library stuff as much as Karla and Amy. They are the experts in anything libraries. You go to them. I am remote. I actually work out of Chicago, so at this moment you're not going to see my face in the library. But I'm happy to set up a Zoom call whenever you need one.
Great, thank you. So now actually, I guess I'd love to hear some introductions from those of you that are starting your programs or joining us today. So and I'll put these questions into the chat. What I'm hoping that you can do is tell us both your name, what program it is that you're starting, whether it's at Bethany or ESR, whether you're going to be taking classes locally in person or at a distance or some combination. And then the final one, this is going to be, well, actually, I'm going to save the last question for later. We'll do that in the chat so it's a little less obvious in the recording. So I'll ask you to do name, what program you're starting, and then whether you're going to be local or at a distance. And if you could, it's always a little tricky when you're doing these Zoom sessions, figure out who wants to speak into the ether. So if you could, I'm going to tag someone, let them know that they're going, but if you remember, could you pick on somebody in your Zoom screen and ask them to go next? So the first person, lucky soul for me, is Tammy. Would you mind going first?
Okay, hi, I'm Tammy Forner. I live in Avon, Connecticut, And so I have actually been attending ESR for the last year, mostly through the Access program, in initially pursuing a certificate in Quaker spirituality. I just was accepted into the program for Theopoetics and Writing. So I'm sort of an old new person. I'm here primarily just to really make sure I know what I'm doing with the new Moodle, and I have some library questions as well. And I forgot what the other questions were that I was supposed to answer.
Pick your next victim. That's it.
Oh, my next victim. How about Promise?
Hi, my name's Promise. I'm starting the MDiv program at ESR, and I'll be taking classes besides intensives. I'll be an Access student, so I'll be taking classes at a distance from Bremerton, Washington. And I invite Alina.
Hi, I'm Alina. I will be starting the graduate certificate in Theopoetics and Theological Imagination this fall, and I'm very excited about it. I'm also considering rolling that into the Master's in Theopoetics and Writing, but I'm going to dip my toe in first. I am from San Jose, California, so I will be remote, but I am actually in Ohio at the moment and coming to visit the campus sometime next week. So my in-laws happen to live an hour away, so it's very, very fun. So really looking forward to getting started with the program, and I appreciate library and Moodle services very much and want to make sure I'm understanding them to the maximum. And I'll pick on Liesel.
Okay, hi Marks for saying my name correctly, so thank you for that, Alina. I am in Northwest Ohio. I will be a connection student, so doing it at a distance. I'm a Bethany student as an MDiv, and I'm really grateful for this orientation. I'm a transfer student from another graduate school, and it was pretty much sink or swim. You got to figure it out. So I'm really grateful that this is here for us. So thank you in advance. Oh, and I need to pick on somebody else. How about David?
Hello, everyone. I'm David, and I'm a student enrolled in the MA in Peace and Social Transformation. So I'll be on campus for the next year. I'm here today because I have no idea what Moodle is, and I've tried to play around with it a little bit, and I'm quite honestly kind of lost. So I'm hoping that I can understand how to use it more effectively. I don't know who has not yet been picked on because I arrived a few moments late, but Amy, have you gone?
I've gone. So how about Jane?
So I'm Jane, and I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I was trying to decide between the Theopoetics and Writing, and decided to start with a certificate. So I'm in the Writing as Ministry, or the other way around, Ministry as Writing or something anyway. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking like who was saying, Tammy was saying, or no, someone was saying they thought they might, maybe Alina, go into the MA. So I might do that too. So, and I don't know if anybody's left, maybe Connie.
So I'm Connie Kincaid Brown. I am starting the MDiv program at ESR and looking forward to being there coming this weekend. I will be taking classes at a distance mostly because I am in the Access program. And let's see, who hasn't gone? Kelly?
I'm Kelly. I'm traveling Wi-Fi, so I hope I'm coming through all right. I'm starting at Bethany this fall in the Master's in Theopoetic program, doing from a distance from Birmingham, Alabama. and I'm not sure. I can hang in just a minute or two. Let if there's anybody left to go.
And is it Anitra or Anita?
It's Anitra. You were right the first time. I'm from Northeastern Ohio. I am a Bethany student. I am doing the CAT certificate to start with, then into my MDiv. My goal is to become a chaplain. I actually have been doing the position of a chaplain. I just can't get paid because I don't have my MDiv. So that is my goal at this point. I will be mostly remote and possibly come to campus for a couple intensive classes. I'm not sure who else.
I'm not sure either. Anyone left? Or is it Janie?
Hi, I'm Jenny Dussault. I live in Corrales, New Mexico, and I think I'm the only person who is auditing. I am an Earlham College graduate from 1965, and I was a biology major and would like to, I'm taking the Introduction to Quakerism class because I felt that I had absorbed Quakerism via osmosis. After all, I was a biology major, but I really don't know formally about Quakers, and I really want to learn. And when I saw the opportunity to take Stephen Angel's class, I was really excited. So I, of course, will be doing it remotely.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks everyone. That's helpful. It's helpful for me to hear just kind of where everyone's coming from, what program, but also how you're going to be engaging with campus as well. So I'll make sure to highlight resources that will be ideal for you at a distance, or if you are on campus, resources that are ideal for you. And if there's some blend in between, we'll talk about that as well. Thank you, everybody. So, okay, I have one final question for you though. And I think what we're going to do for this one is I'll have you put it into the chat. So if you've never used chat on Zoom before, it should appear kind of at the bottom of your screen. Looks a little different for me because I'm a host, but you should see something at the bottom that says chat, and you'll be able to type in your answer to this. So what I'd love to hear from you, I'll post the question chat. One adjective to describe how you feel about doing research projects for your classes. And you can be honest. And if you're watching this as a recording later on, I won't out anyone as to their feelings, but we're seeing kind of a mix of emotions here. I see some folks saying excited. So one person says old, one person says apprehensive, overwhelmed, and some nervousness about group projects versus individual work. Some concern about whether they'll be able to access what they need at a distance if they're not nearby the physical library. Awesome, excited. So any of those feelings that you're having are completely valid. So whatever stage you're at, we're here to support you. And I guess honestly, these feelings might apply to your feelings towards Moodle. So we're happy to support you wherever you are at this moment. And hopefully if you're feeling one of those emotions that's maybe less than excited or awesome, just know that some solidarity here, right? You're not the only one that's maybe feeling some concern. But hopefully after today's session, you're actually going to feel a lot better. I think I'm feeling good. So, okay. I think what I'll do now is I'm going to switch to doing some screen sharing just to give you some of the big picture stuff that you might want to know about library research while you're at Bethany or ESR, whether you're local or at a distance or some combination in between. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And who knows what I still have up from whatever I was working on before. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this maybe, let's say, under 15 minutes as far as like me prattling on at you. But I'll try to cover some of the big things that I hope that you'll know as you kind of are starting taking a class or classes, and then other things you'll pick up along the way. And again, I'm your librarian. I'm happy to answer questions as they come up. Some things just won't click until you have a need for that information. So I totally understand that. But the big first thing, so you're taking classes through Bethany and ESR, and that means you have an affiliation with Earlham College and its libraries. So that's one of the wonderful things about these programs is that you have access to content that's not just available to your school, but is actually available through several schools and effectively. So most of your library research is actually going to happen from this page, which is the Earlham College Libraries homepage. And I thought first what we could do is just show just a sample. So a question that you might have this time of year is your faculty are starting to share their syllabus or syllabi? You know, how do I get access to this book for my class? And actually, does anyone have a book right now that they know they need access to? I can do a fake search, but if anyone has something that they'd like to know if we own, I could look that up right now. And I can't see the chat, so you have to kind of speak out if you don't mind.
The Cambridge Companion.
Cambridge Companion. Is it to Quakerism?
Yeah, to Quakerism. Yeah.
I recognize that title. A lot of Earlham and ESR rock stars have authored chapters in that one. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so this is actually an awesome example because it's a case where we have more than one option for you. So for those of you that are nearby, it looks like we actually have this little code here tells you that we have a paper copy in the library, so you can use that. But we also have an ebook version of it. So if you were at a distance or just prefer ebooks for some reason, all you'd have to do is click on View ebook. And let's see, moving around my Zoom things. And we buy ebooks through all different companies, so they'll look different depending on who we have it from. But for example, so say you were assigned to read chapter 1. In this case, you would just click on PDF and you can read the full thing right there.
I have a question. Is there
Sure.
a limit on how many people can be reading this at once?
It just depends. Yeah, that's a great question. It really depends on the book. So this one I happen to know is unlimited, but occasionally you will run into something where it's only 1 user at a time or 3 users at a time. Whenever I buy that kind of book for faculty, I try to warn them of that, so they may even tell you that this has limited access. But yeah, every once in a while you will run into that.
Okay, that's great. And it's not like a public library where you check it out for 3 weeks. You only hold it while it's open on your screen?
Yeah, if you download it, it will kind of sort of check it out to you for a short period of time. And then it will, we jokingly call it auto-magically disappear from your computer in most cases.
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Sure, good questions all. So yeah, this is an example of a book that we have both in print and also online. As your one thing you can do, and I think what I'll do is just, let me make just sort of a more general search. One thing that you might find yourself doing is tinkering with these settings that are over on the left. So we can actually borrow stuff for you from other schools. So and it gets a little tricky. So this is where there's a little bit of a fork between folks who are studying locally versus folks who are at a distance. So for folks who are local, there's a system called Interlibrary Loan where we can actually borrow books from other schools, have them sent here, and you can use them. There's no charge to that. The only catch is that the agreements don't allow to actually ship those to anyone at a distance. So unfortunately, that part isn't available to folks studying remotely. But I will say, like, if there's ever something that we don't own and you're interested in access, just let me know. Most of my, I would say 90% of the purchasing that I do every year for books is based on folks' suggestions. So definitely let me know if there's something that you'd like me to look into access to. I'm happy to do that.
Sorry,
So
one more
here's an,
question about the interlibrary loan. Did you say that if the interlibrary loan system has an ebook, that's available to distance students?
Yeah, those unfortunately nobody can use.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
interlibrary loan is mostly for in-person materials. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and for folks who are studying, who could pick up the in-person things, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, good follow-ups. So this is what would tell you that it's not owned by IRLM. And then in that case, you could either, if an interlibrary loan is available to you, you can request it through that, or you can send your friendly seminaries librarian a question about it, and I'll see if I can buy it.
Karla, there was another question in chat.
Oh, please, yeah, if you could lift those up, because I am not seeing them at all right now.
She says, I currently need to obtain PDFs of ebooks accessed from other libraries and not held by IRLM libraries. I have a visual issue that makes extended reading from a device or computer screen very difficult, and really need to obtain books or articles via PDF and print on paper.
Oh, that's a good question too. So we, so for example, I can buy ebooks for the library, but I know those don't always play nicely with, sometimes they have limits on how much you can download. So it's not always a guarantee that then, for example, like if you had to read the whole book, it actually may not be possible to download a chunk of that book. So that's when I'm not sure who coordinates sort of accessibility questions for Bethany and ESR. That might be, like, I know, for example, on the IRLM College side, we have someone who coordinates sort of access to accessible versions of content, of course, content, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Karla, this actually is a real world example. I'm in one of Steve Angel's classes, and there are 2, maybe 3 books that we can actually access as ebooks from other libraries. And it says if you need to get a PDF because of visual impairment, that there's a way to do that. But I can't do it as a student. It seems that the library has the right to do that, though. So that's.
Do you mind sharing what title? Do you remember the title of one of the books? We could look at it.
I need to run and get my notebook is downstairs. I've been doing some reading ahead, so.
Okay. Well, I could do some separate follow-up. It might be something, if it's from another library, it might actually be, we have some stuff that you can see that's from something called the Internet Archive.
Yeah, I think it was an Internet Archive item, and there was this very specific thing about if you need a PDF and it has to do with visual impairment, which I have. I've got an issue that makes incoming light very difficult to deal with.
Yep. Yeah, so that would probably, and I'm happy to help kind of decipher their language. So if you want to send me an email, or get in touch later, we could work that out. But I think probably it will be through. I've actually never worked with the Internet Archive. They're sort of a totally separate entity, so I don't know what their guidelines are. But I'm happy to help you do some digging.
Okay, I'll find the links and send them to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there was one other comment that someone raised up in chat, Karla, about being able to do interlibrary loan from their local libraries.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. So you can, so for folks at a distance, that's definitely something I would consider looking into, is what's available to you from your local public library, because sometimes they are part of state networks and they'll order books or content for you. So that might be a possibility for you. There's also, and this, some of this might vary during COVID, but there's this other network you might want to, folks at a distance might want to be available for. Let's see if I can find it. So it's called the ATLA Atla Reciprocal Borrowing Program. And the idea is that seminaries around the country have said, hey, we'll let our students borrow books from each other in person and use each other's libraries. So for example, there's a map here that just shows all the different seminary libraries that are part of that program. So I would always check with them before showing up, just to see if they have any restrictions in place as far as who can come based on COVID. But in general, these are different schools and libraries that have said, like, yes, please, you can come use our stuff, you can borrow stuff from us. So that might be a local option. And that, I sort of did a little bit of a jumping around, but one of the things I wanted to make sure that you met during this session. So this is just the general library page, but over on the right, there's this whole tab that's just ESR and Bethany resources. And that's where the bulk of your links and specific services are listed. So I was looking at some of the stuff that's listed down here for access and connection students under this Atla reciprocal borrowing program, but there's plenty of other fun stuff on here as well. Including, okay, so we talked about, so interlibrary loan, and actually anyone can get articles through interlibrary loan, but the shipping or the ordering books from other schools, that's just for folks that are local. But in case you're feeling not special, for the folks that are studying at a distance, we also have a special service that's just for you. And that's what we call document delivery. So the idea here is, so say Earlham owns a paper copy of a book, but you're 300 miles away, what to do. So for books that we own, we can actually ship them to you for free. There's no charge to the service. There's a description of the document delivery program here. You would just fill out the form, and do allow for shipping times can take a few days, or I would say expect at least 5 to 10 business days. So you'll want to plan ahead for that. But that does open up possibilities for you to actually use some of our physical collections of stuff that we own. I'll pause there and see any other questions? I know it's a lot.
There was 2 more comments in chat, Karla. One about interlibrary loan at other schools often don't have religious type texts. And then also a clarifying question about if distance students getting the physical copies of the book through the document delivery. And yes, that is what that means. We will send you physical copies of our books through document delivery.
Yeah, for stuff we own. There's no charge for it, and then you just have to figure out a way to get it back to us. So that would either be paying for shipping yourself, or if you're going to be on campus for an intensive, bringing it back. And the loan periods on those are pretty lengthy, so usually there's not a huge rush to get them back anytime soon.
And we can also send you articles electronically that you can print out yourself if you choose.
Yeah, and that service is interlibrary loan for articles is available to everyone if it can be sent like through email, basically. Okay, so let's see. I have one more big resource to share. And by the way, if this is going too fast, I also have on that ESR and Bethany page, I have more of like a 7-minute version of this. So if ever you're trying to remember, wait, what was that thing that she showed? There is sort of a 7-minute video here that does some of the highlights of what we're talking about today. But the final big one. Okay.
Oh, wait, Karla, someone wants to know how they ask for those articles to be sent to them.
For articles for interlibrary loan? Yes. So we'll look at it in here, actually. So this and help me remember if I forget to show how to do it. There is a form you can fill out, but in most cases, the way I do it is that there's like a little button you can click that will autofill the information. So we'll look at that in the next resource. Okay, so I promise you will become friends with this thing called ATLA Atla Religion Database. So the idea is, okay, so you're searching the library catalog. That's really broad in coverage. It covers all kinds of disciplines, including religion and theology, but also a lot of stuff that's totally irrelevant to what you're working on. So then the library has other, what we call databases. We have over 100 of them. and honestly, there's enough of them that frankly, I forget about some of them. It always makes me feel like I'm like forgetting the name of a child or something like that. But for your purposes, if you're going to remember one other thing, I want you to remember ATLA or Atla. So the reason why is that this one is purely religion and theology focused. It's curated by the American Theological Library Association. So it's just focused on the topics that you're going to be investigating for your coursework. So when you enter Atla, you can do, you can do sort of a general search for a research topic that you might be interested in. Here it's giving me 1,277 results on eco-theology. And if you see PDF full text, that means you can read it right there. So here's our article. And then let's see if we can find an example that we don't own. I guess it's good news if we have a hard time finding something we don't have access to. Okay, so here's one where I don't see the PDF full text link. Instead, I see this find it at EC button. So that means it doesn't see access to this thing in Atla, but it's offering to check access elsewhere. Okay. So in this case, it's saying that it does see some full text available in this thing. So normally what I would do is click on this and then see if in the best case scenario, it'll take you right to the article. Sometimes you have to kind of do a bit of searching in that journal. But if that wasn't there for the, what you could do if you wanted to request a copy of it is click this button. So this is the button that will, you could order something through Interlibrary Loan. And what's nice about this is that it auto-fills the fields for you. So it pulls over the title and the all that information that they'll need to track down the things, which can save you some time so you don't have to kind of manually fill out the form that says the thing that you want. If you can't find a link for it through Interlibrary Loan, there is, that's one of the things that I've highlighted on the Bethany and ESR resources page. So if you click on the Interlibrary Loan link, there is a place, I think you have to enter the actual TPASA platform, but then you can create a request and fill out all that information manually. So both options will work.
I have a question about that. So is this an example of the type of material that could be sent to an off-campus student, or is this the on-campus only version?
Yeah. And I appreciate the questions because it is confusing. Sometimes I feel like we should have like a flow chart of what happens when. So in this case, what I was looking at was a journal article, and that's the kind of thing that could be sent to anybody regardless of your location. So that could be emailed to you.
Great.
Yeah, it would be the books that were just, or like physical whole DVD type things that we wouldn't be able to ship.
Perfect.
One other thing, so beyond, I guess, content-wise, Atla being a good focus for you, the other thing that's kind of special about a tool like this is that it has a unique feature that you wouldn't find in other resources as you were searching, in that they have librarians that work for Atla that actually go through the trouble of what librarians call indexing things based on different subjects. And there's actually, for when you're taking sort of more biblical studies types classes, or if you're writing something about a particular passage in the Bible, there's this handy scripture search feature. And so what that looks like is, so you could tell it, this always makes me feel some anxiety because it's in like order of the books of the Bible, so then I have to like remember exactly where I need to go. if we're sharing adjectives, this would be like my moment of anxiety, like, oh, am I going to remember them correctly? So say you were looking at maybe you're writing an essay on John 3:16. You can actually search at the level of like the individual book or even chapter or even individual verse. So let's just see how narrow we can get. And then what it's doing is giving me 242 results that it thinks are related to John 3:16. And it's not perfect. Sometimes you'll notice that like what's happened is that the item, the article or the book has actually been tagged as just being about John somewhere. So it's sort of, it's not always perfect, but this can be this is an example where like a resource like Atla can give you much more specific results than just a general catalog search or a general Google search. Okay, that was a lot. I think what I'll do is stop there and just see any questions that you'd like to lift up now about library stuff. Okay, that's fine. Oh yeah, please.
How do we contact you?
That's an excellent segue. Yeah, so a few different ways. So I'll go back to, let me share my screen one more time. So when you are on the Earlham College Library's website and you're over in this section that's just for ESR and Bethany resources, my contact information is over on the right. So that has my email address. And then I'm also, whenever I'm sitting at my computer, and I inevitably like never forget to turn this off when I'm doing workshops. So if I'm available, you'll see this little, if you want to, like, you can use this chat feature for quick questions like, hey, could we set up an appointment to talk about this? Or hey, do we have access to this book? This little box will allow you to send an instant message to me. And then it also has my phone number. And if you email me, we could set up something over Zoom or phone, whatever works best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think Amy and Stephanie, is it okay if I take a few more minutes to do one more thing before? Okay. I do have, I guess, one little project for all of you. So what I'm hoping to do is give you some time to explore this ESR and Bethany resources section. So we were just looking at kind of this first page, but there's actually all these different, oops, and that takes you somewhere different, all of these different tabs. So what I'd like to do is actually give you, let's say, 4 minutes to do some exploring on your own. And then I'd love to just hear kind of what jumps out to everybody. What did you find that you think others might want to know about? Give you a chance to explore and then report out what you found. So I just put the link in the chat. So take a few minutes to explore and then be prepared to have something to share with others of something useful or exciting that you found. Okay, that was maybe sort of the amount of time I claimed I'd give you. Anyone willing to share something that they found that they think is exciting or might be useful to someone else?
We have a link that doesn't go anywhere.
If you want to send that to me, either in the chat or just as an email, I can investigate. Thank you.
I went out looking for one of my favorite resources, and that was the Digital Quaker Collection. I had to do a little digging to get there. So I'm curious, it used to be a lot easier to find. It seems that some things have changed since last year. Is that correct?
Well, it might be, if it was housed on the college's website, some things have definitely changed there, or I believe it's highlighted on the archives set of pages.
Yeah, I used to, I don't know, last year it seemed like I went into an Earlham ESR page for, library access, and there was a great big button to find it. But that it's a terrific resource for finding original, old Quaker writings and you can get them in the original, sort of the original format, and also then, a little more readable format, typed out in a different font and much more readable. Used it for a lot of research I did last year and just really got excited about it. So.
I see a note behind the scenes that says that they're working on it. I guess there were some complications behind the scenes. So stay tuned.
I was looking at the books and articles tab, and there are a lot of databases listed out. I was wondering if you could kind of overview if they're good for different things, or if there are some that you recommend more strongly. Atla sounds like a great resource, but it's a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's why I try not to click to that page during the session, because there are a lot, and they're like snowflakes. They're all kind of good for or all different and unique in their own way. I think for now, Atla, knowing about the catalog and Atla will probably get you pretty far. But we can always talk more if there's stuff that you're having trouble finding.
That's great. Having a go-to is all I need.
Maybe one more thing anyone want to share?
Well, I got into one thing. FET said the book was available on an hourly basis, but when I came in, it said log in, and I tried to use my Earlham email and password, but that doesn't work. So we have to register separately.
Oh, that sounds fun. Do you, I don't suppose you could, I don't know if you have the powers to share your screen, or can you walk us through how you got there and I can try to replicate it?
Connie, you can share your screen now if you want to.
Okay. It's going to be a little tricky. I actually have two screens where I am.
Oh,
so
that's fine.
I'm probably going to have to pull something in and do that, but we'll do this. I just have to get to the right spot and say.
One thing that's tricky is sometimes it asks for your Earlham username, and it wants just the part before the @ symbol. And it's real easy to put the whole @Earlham.
Well, it says email address, so I put the whole email address.
Oh,
Let me just drop that off and see if that works. Nope, now it says please include the @.
Okay.
So
I will say that I can't think of any of our resources that are hourly based, but if you end up on that Internet Archive site, which is separate from ours, they have a separate login system for their content.
Okay, share that screen. That's the way we want to share. And
Yep. Yeah, this is through the Internet Archive. And they're a fabulous resource, by the way. We link to their stuff because it's so amazing. So you will have to set up a totally different account with them. That's what it's wanting.
So that solves that mystery.
Yep. And they're great. They're sort of free online public library. And a lot of times they'll have access to text that might be useful to you.
Do we need a library card, or is the information we need just our email, our Earlham email, and our student ID number?
Your student ID will work for that. once you have one of those, you'll use that to check things out. And I think the official number is unlimited as far as things you can borrow. So whatever you can carry. Okay.
I think there may
Oh my
be
gosh,
a limit,
I would.
like 50 or 100, but it's very high.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to answer more questions later. So please use one of those ways to get in touch with me after today. I look forward to working with you more as you start diving into your classes and realize, oh wait, I don't know how to do this. But for now, I think I'm going to turn it over to Amy and Stephanie, and they're going to be covering the Moodle side of things.
Hi, yeah, I'm Amy, Bryant's library director, and so I'm just going to give a basic overview of what Moodle is, and then Stephanie's going to show you how some more detailed explanation of how you will actually work with it in an individual course. So Moodle is the what in fancy word it's called a content or learning management system, and basically what that means, it's a place where all your professors will put up content that you'll be able to use for your classes. And each professor may use different features or aspects of it, but it's going to be the place that you can plan that is going to be a central part of your time at Bethany or ESR. Frequently, you'll find things like class readings. They may link up PDFs or links to library resources, books and chapters that you might want to read. They may link to an ebook. They'll often include their syllabus. They may have videos for you to watch. They'll also have places for you to turn in things to them, both papers that you may write, or they may probably provide their grades through this system. You'll be able to see your grades. And there'll be ways for you to interact with other students in the course through things that are called forums, where you can post something that other students can read and interact with. And we're going to walk you through all those different features. So the first thing is, where do you find Moodle? And so let me turn on my screen sharing now. Yes, make sure I get the right window. So there's several different ways that you can actually access Moodle. One is just the URL itself. If you want to bookmark it, it's moodle-sim.earlham.edu. But if you don't want to remember that, it's linked up in lots of different places for you. One is if you log into the Heart. When you log into the Heart, there'll be a box that says IT services that will have things such as Zimbra and your self-service for your billing. And one of the links will also be for Moodle, so that you can get to Moodle. Each of the schools, ESR and Bethany, also provides links to Moodle in different places. Under the ESR page, it's here under ESR Community, and there's a link to Moodle. And for Bethany, their site, the way I found it, and there might be a better way, but if you say I'm a current student, then it takes you to a page where there is a link to Moodle down here. So all of those places will get you to moodle-sim.earlham.edu. So once you get there, you may want to just make a bookmark, because you're going to be using this page quite a bit. You're going to log in with the same Earlham username and password that you log in to get your emails or access the Heart, any of those different things. And what you'll get to when you first log in is a dashboard page like this. And a few things just to mention about this dashboard page. One is that as you have access to courses, those courses will show up here on this dashboard for you. Right now, I'm enrolled as a student in a tutorial course that we're going to give you a link to access that you can get into yourself and play with, so that you can test out the features of Moodle without worrying about posting something in a real course and being worried about it. But it'll walk you through all the features in Moodle. But these courses will show up here on this dashboard page for you. And right now, if you have a class that is not starting until later in August, the professor may have set it up that maybe sets of those courses are hidden for you currently. Often those courses are not made available to students until right before the classes are available. Sometimes professors allow students to see those courses early, and so you may have access to courses ahead of time. That's a little bit early. One thing that always trips people up the first time, it still trips me up every once in a while, is Moodle has a feature to make it easier on small screen devices to just see important things. And that is an option here at the top that they call the Hamburger Menu. It's like 3 lines, a bun, a burger, and a bun. This little menu here to the side, if you click on it, it makes the left menu bar disappear so that you can see more of the content to the side. And every once in a while, I'll have that panic moment of, wait, where did all the menus go? And you just need to click this hamburger context menu, and it brings back these different options down the side for you. Another handy feature that you may want to know about is up here at the top. There's your when you log in, you'll see your personal name. There's a little drop-down menu with this arrow, and you can get to your personal profile. And from this profile page, you can actually edit your profile. And the reason you may want to do that is to provide additional information for your fellow students in the class. There's a description field where if you want to include a short statement about yourself, you're more than welcome to do so. One thing that we encourage people to do is to use this user picture, and it's a very simple. If you have a file on your computer, you can just drag and drop it into that field and then hit update profile. And then now you'll see that I have a picture, and whenever I do work in Moodle now, I'll have a little icon picture that looks like me, and it really helps in some of the features that we're going to show, such as the forums, so that people have a face that they can associate, not just your name, but a face to go along with your name. So and then the other thing to know about as you're clicking along, there is some links here. The dashboard link, it's here to the side. It's also right here in sort of a thumbnail list of things. So if you ever get stuck on where things are in Moodle, the dashboard will get you back to this first main page, and then you can always go here to your profile, and it'll give you everything that's connected to your account, including a link to your grades for all your courses, and all the courses that you're in will show up here under this course details section. Okay. Any questions about this general overview page before I pass it off to Stephanie? I see a chat question. Oh, that's Stephanie has the link in there for you. So I'm going to stop my screen share and pass it over to Stephanie. And Stephanie's going to show you, once you're in a Moodle course, what are some of the things that you can do and interact with it.
All right. So I've put a link in the chat, which is for a specific Moodle tutorial course, which you can join now if you like, or you can watch. Let me share my screen again. You know, like someone else mentioned, I have 2 screens going on. So there we go. And once you're in the course, this is what you will see. See at the top here is the dashboard. That's where Amy was. This would be where my course is. And then the current one you're currently on is on here. And this will become important a little bit later, because this is the breadcrumbs can help you navigate through. And the Hamburger Menu is here as well. So you see your various modules, lessons, tiles. People have different names for these things, but you can navigate going here. So if I know that I absolutely want to look at the hints for uploading papers and files, and I don't want to scroll through everything, I can just click on this thing and it will take me to that directly. Or I can scroll through. This is really useful if you have an instructor who's created a course that has 15, 20 different lessons or modules. So if you want to go navigate through a little quicker that way. I like the fact that you can turn this off when you're done with it, especially if you're reading something online. I completely sympathize with the people who find it hard to read things online. I'm actually currently taking online courses too, and sometimes reading stuff on the computer is difficult on the eyes, so I get it. So in a course, some common things you're going to see are announcements to begin with. Now, your instructor may put an announcement in there and say, hey, here's the first day of class. For instance, there's one there. There may be information in this. They may give you a survey to do, any kinds of things. So you may see announcements. Some instructors may use announcements to talk about changes to important things like where you're meeting or dates for quizzes. So it's worth looking into those announcements in there. Oftentimes, an instructor will have a forum in here, and I'll talk about forums in a minute, that says introduce yourself, in which case that's what you do. They may have a question for you. And then you get into some of the common things to do. They may give you documents to read. Here's resources. I completely encourage any of you who have not done Moodle or online courses at all to look at the tips for success. Some of them are useful, especially for the folks in the beginning who said they felt they were a little old or overwhelmed in the online learning world. So check these out when you get a chance. And let me talk about how forums work. This is a Sandbox Forum. Once you're in the course, you can actually do this. And I'm working as a student here, so you'll see the same thing. So in here, I have a Sandbox Forum. Maybe an instructor puts a question here, and they want me to add a discussion topic. As you can see, a few people have already put one in there. Karla put in the age-old question of, is a hot dog really a sandwich? Which I think is important. And then I can add a new discussion. What is your favorite season? I invariably forget how to spell when I'm typing in demonstrations, so that's how that works for me. So I give it a subject, and my message is, I can go as long or short as I want. And in here, you can add lots of things. You can add little emoticons, emojis. There are some specific to Moodle. You can add images, and you can actually use this as a sort of a word processor. So I can make it bold, I can change the headings. So you do get some formatting options. It works a little bit like a Word document. And once I type something in there, I hit post to forum. Here's what I put in there. And notice other people have put things in here, and there are replies. So somebody replied to this one, and you can see how many replies you have to anything you post right here. Forums, probably the most common thing you're going to see within the seminary courses. There's a lot of discussion, and the forum takes the place of some of the classroom stuff you don't necessarily have. So keep up on your discussions. It's very helpful. A hint I'll give you as an online thing is don't do your discussion topics responses last minute. If it's due on Monday, don't do it on Sunday. Try to get those done a little bit early. And when I'm done with this, I can go ahead.
Is it okay to ask questions now, or would you like us to wait?
No, go ahead and ask questions.
Okay.
I was going to say, let's ask your questions about forums now, and then I'll move on to the next thing. So I know I talk fast, so I try to slow down.
Is there, when you log into your course, is there any way that it highlights new content for you? So if there is a new announcement or stuff in the forum, it seems like it's set to default send me emails of anything that happens in Moodle. So I've noticed that in my Zimbra, but then if I was to log into a course, how do I know where there's new things have changed, new posts or things like that?
On your dashboard, you notice I went back to the dashboard. You're actually, any assignments and upcoming events always pop up on the side here, and discussions will do the same thing. So if you have a response to your discussion, it should show up on the side over here as well. So you do get alerted in that way too. And then you would link to click on that discussion directly or assignment directly and then be able to see what it looked like. Does that help? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Next most common thing you're going to see is uploading files. You have to read an article, write a paper, are the most common assignments. So there's a practice assignment here. You can try uploading a file, and then you can upload files in forums as well. So let's take a look at the uploading an assignment. This is an assignment I've already uploaded something to it. But if I were a new student coming in, I was going to show you that, but you'll have to see that on your own. That would have a box for you to bring the file in, and then you can hit the submit button. I will see if I can. Okay, I can do it this way. So if I have a forum, say my forum, my question is Quakerism in everyday life, something like that. So I can add a discussion topic, and then under this advanced button in the forum, I can bring in a file. And this box here that I'm sort of circling is where you would drag and drop your files. And it looks the same in an assignment as well. So for instance, I have some documents I can do. So I have one called This is a Sample Assignment, and I drag and drop it in there. Close that. And then again, post a forum. Oh, it wants something in here. If it doesn't like what you did, it will tell you. One thing I will mention with forums is there is a 30-minute delay. So once you post anything to a forum or upload anything to a forum, you have 30 minutes to go back and delete or edit that. And then your instructor will see it 30 minutes after you post it. I bring this up because if you are doing something and your instructor has an actual firm due date, take into account you've got a 30-minute delay in any of those kind of things. Any questions? I can't see the chat, so again, you'll have to holler at me if there's any chat questions.
So in the process of uploading to a forum, you said you have a 30-minute delay, in which time you could go back and go, oh gosh, I missed a period or I didn't capitalize or something. Right. If after that 30-minute delay, you notice, I missed a period or I missed a capital, too bad, so sad?
Yeah, only at that point, only the instructor can do anything with your post.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Stephanie, I'm not seeing the same menu on the left side of my tutorial that you have. My menu starts way down below where it says dashboard site names. I have none of what's above.
So that means you're probably not in the course itself. You're just looking at your dashboard and you're not actually in the Moodle tutorial course.
Well,
because
yeah.
all this additional stuff is very course specific.
So where is the course? I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
In the chat, there I posted a second link and it ends with 132. It says equal 132 at the end. And that is a link to the Moodle tutorial course, which we're looking at right now.
Yeah, that's where I am.
So if you click on it, it probably will ask you to register or get into the course.
There's an enroll me button.
Enroll me button.
Share your screen, David?
Yeah, can you share a screen?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, got it. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference between one of the ways you can tell if you're on your dashboard or if you're in the actual course is that menu on the side. and I realize I'm going fast with this. It's one of those things where you have to do it. You're going to do it wrong a couple times, and that's fine. Always reach out to anybody who can help. Sometimes some of the instructors are very good. Some teachers will be happy to walk you through it and help as well. So, but if not, talk to us library folks and we'd be happy to help you out. So forms and uploading are your most common things. You may have other types of assignments. So one of the assignments you might get is a practice assignment where you need to read a PDF and make a comment about it. So in this case, I submitted a comment already. I can edit my submission. So we'll pretend that I'm doing this new. So in this says, I want you to read the PDF and I want you to submit a comment saying that you were able to download it. So here's my comment. And it says, I downloaded this. Let's make a change so that it takes. It will say submit comment. And now it is submitted for grading. Something really important when you're submitting anything online is always check that you get a green box somewhere saying that it was received. Either submission received or submitted for grading, then you know that it was turned in. Always a good thing. And the fourth type of assignment, which is probably the least, well, it's least common, you won't see this too much, is a quiz, which I encourage you to take. And the quizzes are pretty easy. They look like a regular quiz. So I go to the quiz. If I'm allowed to retry it as many times as I want, like this one, you'll see a reattempt quiz button. If you haven't taken it before, it'll say start quiz. And then it looks like that. Most quizzes are, well, I hate to say most quizzes are anything because they really could be a lot of different ways to do quizzes. And you'll have to speak to your instructors about how they want to do them and the rules and all that other stuff. Hints about quizzes, always make sure to check, do you only get one attempt? Can you do it again? And is it timed? So very important if you're planning your day. But other than that, you can just click the little buttons. I'm not reading any of these questions, so I'm probably getting every single one of them wrong. And when I'm finished, I say finish attempt. And then when I'm done, important point, you have to submit all again. And then you have to submit all again. So the way quizzes are set up, you might have to hit that submit button 3 times. So, and then it tells you what you got wrong and what you got right. Again, instructors can set this up many, many different ways, but at least the practice quiz in here will warm you up to how quizzes work in Moodle in a general sense. What questions do you have? A couple things I'll add, but I wanted to check with you guys. That was fast and it was a lot.
At my previous school, we used something called Eduvance or Advance, I don't know, whatever. Similar to this where, you know, the assignments were given and all that. There was an email feature through that, and some of the professors were like, do not use this email feature. You haven't mentioned it, so I'm assuming there is no like direct communication thing, and if there is there a general feeling on the behalf of the faculty about yes they like it or no they don't?
I'll let Amy and Karla chime in on this one also, but in general I'm finding that most people want to use the regular Earlham email system rather than the communication system within Moodle. I've worked with other LMS systems and they have a really powerful email feature. Moodle's is not. So but you may find that your instructor wants you specifically to communicate through Moodle. I think what you're going to find is they want to do standard email.
I'd say I think it just depends on the professor too. Everyone has different preferences. So some are like spot on what Stephanie's saying. They prefer email. There's a message system within Moodle that will like ping someone with an alert via email as well when you click on their name.
Yep. Previously, I used Canvas as the administrator, and I've used Blackboard as a student. And in both cases, most instructors say the same thing. Just use the outside email system, simply because the notification it gets lost. They won't know that you sent them a message, so it's difficult.
Do you have a recommendation? I mentioned that I'm getting notifications in my Earlham email about any new posts to the forum, and I don't know what else I'm getting. I'm just getting new posts to the forum repeated in there. Do you think it's a good idea to have that function set up?
I think so, because your forums are, especially in seminary classes, are going to be the most active part of your course. So unless those emails are becoming a real problem and very irritating, I would leave them on, simply because that's where the meat of your course is. You can, if there's a forum you don't want to subscribe to anymore. So say, you're done reading all these new student introductions, you don't want to hear anything more about it, you can actually unsubscribe to forums. So you can subscribe to a forum or unsubscribe to a forum. And I think I'm not sure I can't remember where notification preferences are. I believe it's under your profile or preferences. You can change where those go and how often.
I would just be cautious about turning off things, because your faculty member might assume you're getting those notices, and then if they tell you something only through messaging through the class and you don't get it, you might miss it. So
right.
Yeah.
So the subscribe button is probably better from a foreign sense. Like I'm done talking about hot dogs, so I'm going to make sure I'm unsubscribed to that one. But we're still talking about introductions, so I'll turn that one on.
Yeah.
And that way you can manage.
It's a little safer at the individual forum like this instead of I wouldn't turn off all notifications.
No.
Yeah.
Especially assignments. Leave all your assignment notifications turned on so you do not miss due dates.
There was a question from David about showing how to upload a file from the computer for an assignment.
Yep, I can do that. Let's see. I might have to switch people here because this particular student has
I'm still a student. I can do it, Stephanie. I haven't done it.
Yeah, there we go. Because I would have to switch because right now I've already done it as this person. So let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
If you're ready.
Yep, I can do it.
Because me doing it as teacher won't help you.
Right.
You'll see all sorts of things you don't need to see.
So, so here's a practice assignment for uploading a file, and you can actually practice this yourself too once you're in this class. And you can click on it, and you can see. Oh, it looks like I did it too. I've already done it.
All right.
So there will be something to grade. Karla, have you done it? You know.
I think I have, yeah. If there's someone else who's joined it who's willing to share screens, we could walk you through it. Well,
here's another one. Let me see if I've done this one. I don't think, yeah, I did. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I haven't done this one. And so I could click add a submission, and well, this one is set for only typing into it.
Yeah,
the other one, you would drag and drop a file. Let me stop the share and see.
Give me a second here to go and find a person who has not. There we go. Maybe this one. Oh, no. It would have to be in a different browser window for that.
I can try it if you want, because I'm in the course. And
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that's the one thing is once you've done it, you lose the view.
you want to share your screen, Promise?
Yeah, I think I need to be made a host.
You can share your screen, Promise.
Okay, so I'm gonna go down here to practice assignment for uploading a file and add a submission. So then there's the space to drag and drop files.
Mm-hmm. So you can drag and drop. I find that easiest. You can also use those two little gray icons in the upper left as well to get things. I like drag and drop simply because I usually have the folder open somewhere else too, but it's up to you. There you go. Now, when you see, wait till you actually see an image of what you've loaded before you ever hit Save Changes, because if you hit Save Changes and it's still processing, it won't work.
Okay, I hope that this is a PDF or Word document.
Yeah, which is fine.
It's not.
Okay, it's an image. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that works too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And submit. You may have to hit submit 3 times. Let's see if it does it to you. Yep.
Confirm
Now,
submission.
are you sure?
Okay, submitted for grading. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see that big green box. Remember, I said look for the green. Have a question in the chat about drag and drop from Google Docs. Moodle is not integrated with Google Docs. So what you would have to do is save your Google document on your desktop or somewhere else and then drag it in. But there's no Google Doc integration type button. Also with Google Docs, be sure you save it as, I think they call it a Word file or a portable file that can be read outside of Google. Because if you create a Google Doc and you give permission so that only you can see it, then your instructor won't be able to see it. And then one last 3 times. Let's see if it does it to you. Yep.
Confirm
Now,
submission.
are you sure?
Okay, submitted for grading. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see that big green box. Remember, I said look for the green. Have a question in the chat about drag and drop from Google Docs. Moodle is not integrated with Google Docs. So what you would have to do is save your Google document on your desktop or somewhere else and then drag it in. But there's no Google Doc integration type button. Also with Google Docs, be sure you save it as, I think they call it a Word file or a portable file that can be read outside of Google. Because if you create a Google Doc and you give permission so that only you can see it, then your instructor won't be able to see it. And then one last thing I will show you. Let me set it up before I share the screen. There we go. Is you've done all this work and you want to know, did you do it correctly, is grades. So on the left here, you see it says grades. It will show you what you've submitted, if it's been graded by the teacher, things like that. So you will see anything in there. There's not many assignments in here and my forums are not graded in this case. But here you can see the practice assignment and the loading assignment for the file. Those were done. And then I have my course totals. Sometimes your instructor may give you feedback and that'll be on the side here. So you can get to your grades in 2 places. You saw you could get to your grades from the dashboard. That'll give you your grades for all of your courses, but this is grades for just this specific course.
I don't know if this is who I don't know if this is a question for you or someone else on the call because it's connected to grades, but our grades are pass fail. So how do they turn up on our transcript or on those Moodle report cards? Does anybody know?
They would say pass fail instead of a percentage point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it pass fail at Bethany as well? Interesting.
And I think just also to add to that, there's the Heart and self-service, I think, is the official place where grades are kept. Nods from, yeah. So that you'll have one set of grades in Moodle if the professor uses that, but then like the official record of it is what you would see in self-service / Banner, also known as Banner.
Yeah.
And Lisa, you can get grade conversions if that's something that you do need regular grades for. You can ask your professors to give you grade conversions to actually give you grades for the pass fails.
I'm not sure why I would need that. Sorry, I'm not meaning to be dense.
No, that's all right.
No, some
usually
other programs, like if you want to transfer to another program or want to transfer your grades, some require actual grades.
So do I have to know in advance, or is that something can happen retroactively? Do you know
I believe retro, yeah. Retroactive.
You do, I think, have to submit about a week before you graduate in order to get grade conversion. So if you think you might need it down the line, just turn in that form before you graduate, and it doesn't change anything. But after a certain point, the faculty have more difficulty going back and trying to remember what you got. But the grade system is actually credit with distinction, which is extra great, credit with concern, which means you're sort of on the edge of not crediting, and no credit. But yes, if you're going into a PhD program, they often require grade conversion. So some people will do that, and some people just like to know.
Got it. I somehow missed that piece or just assumed it was grades. So is there a place that I can just go back and look at that? Is there something on the Bethany website, or?
It should be in the handbook. Let me see. I don't think I've submitted our handbook for uploading to the orientation site, but I will do that as soon as possible so that you can read about it.
Great, thank you.
You know, when I made my grade example, I used kind of the standard, but every school does things just a little bit different. So it's hard to show all examples. Any other questions? I can set up quick things if we need to go back to anything, but do look at those top 10 hints and how to handle forums and homework, and always ask your instructors if you have questions.
And also, if you have any troubles with Moodle, you can always email the help desk at earlham.edu, and that'll go to this entire team, and someone will get back to you.
There's also on the on the Heart on the homepage, under Earlham College Libraries, there is a link called Moodle Help. And there's a student unit in there you could go through. And it is very generalized. I don't think it really has anything specific to Bethany. But for most things in Moodle, like how do I submit things, how do I find things, that Moodle Help is very useful. And that's under the Earlham College Libraries, where Karla was at the beginning of the session.
Well, Thank you, Stephanie and Amy. I'm mindful of time, but first off, I mean, hey, congratulations, everyone. You just made it through a whirlwind tour of library and Moodle stuff. So let this be the beginning of our beautiful friendship. So don't be strangers. Please lift up questions as you have them. For library specific stuff, just get in touch in one of my ways with me. And then for Moodle stuff, if you use that general email address, that's probably the best way since there's a team of heroes. And then I guess Julie and Karen, anything that you want to say about future sessions or anything else?
I don't think so. We've been updating the new student orientation website, and Karen just asked me to put the Bethany handbook on it, so I'll do that when we get off. And so yeah, just keep checking there for updates.
And I know the next Bethany session is tomorrow at 2 Eastern time, and that is our special edition Coffee with Carter with Jeff Carter, the president of Bethany. So hopefully you'll be able to come and meet our president.
And then ESR will have a meet and greet on Sunday afternoon, 4 to 6 at Cordial Cork. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. And then intensives start Monday morning. So thank you, Karla and Stephanie and Amy. Thanks for all this information. I have recorded it, and I'll try to post that recording this afternoon or tomorrow. So thanks a lot.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.